Hello, and welcome to Warp 9 Wednesday. Extra Secret Gaming presents Warp 9 Wednesday. I am Dan from the internet. This is somebody that I just asked off the street. He seemed like he was a good guy. Doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway because he probably needs an introduction. This is, for anybody who's joined the show before, we have a guy who's been hanging out quite a bit. His name's Mr. Mike Mack. This is him. This is the guy. He hangs out in chat. He says some stuff to me. He keeps me on the straight and narrow, and he reminds me to record the show. This is always a good thing, because Dan's brain doesn't work properly, like other people's brains. Don't do drugs, kids. So, anyway, if you haven't seen the show before, we basically talk about comics, games, all sorts of stuff. It is being recorded, so for some reason the stream gets laggy or starts dropping out again. Not my fault. I can't control the internet, but it is being recorded. It will be put up on YouTube for people to watch it at their leisure. Did I use that word right?
I like leisure.
Leisure?
I like leisure.
Is that a leisure? Leisure sounds like legion.
I always say at your leisure. So
at your leisure. See, he's the one with the degree.
Yeah.
Know? So
book learning.
Do you want to tell people about yourself a little bit?
I'm a high school English teacher.
He's a hero.
So
they're like firefighters and cops,
that's right.
In my opinion.
More likely to be attacked on the job than a cop. So
statistically, is that true?
I don't know. They let us have guns now, so I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can carry guns in schools in Michigan now, so that's fun. That won't lead to disasters.
No,
because with more guns, less people die. Because it was just proven. Anyway, I don't like.
We're getting real political, real fast.
Let's not do this.
Tonight.
Let's not do this. Let's not do this.
It's not what I came here to talk about.
No way, man. We're here for comics, toys, all sorts of information.
Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar Binks. Yes. Was it you who was telling me about that with the samurais? You were like, there needs to be a Jar Jar Binks one of these.
Yeah, we need a. We've got the samurai, Darth Vader, and Stormtrooper. I said there should be a geisha Jar Jar.
Geisha Jar Jar.
People would buy it.
I think people would buy it.
We need to bring that character
in
back.
order just to make YouTube videos and be like, what is this abomination?
I'm just saying it would make money.
One thing I got to promote real quick, Cybertronic Spree. If you've ever listened to our podcast, the Extra Secret Podcast, we've talked to some people in the past called the Cybertronic Spree. If you enjoy Transformers and people who dress up like Transformers and play music, this is your band. They are coming to the Magic Bag November 10th. So they were kind enough to grant my partner Eric, who does the Extra Secret Podcast with me. He did a interview with them a long time ago in Canada, and so we're gonna help them out because they were super cool. So Cybertronic Spree live in concert at the Magic Bag. Doors open at 8 o'clock. $10 at the door. It is an all ages show, people. So you can bring the little ones, bring the family, bring Granny, bring everybody. It's gonna be great. November 10th. So, also, Extra Secret Podcast, if you haven't downloaded it yet, go ahead and do so at iTunes. It's a little more adult-themed than this show, and it's about two dudes who talk about stuff and complain about stuff. It's never been done before in the history of the internet, ever. So, anyway, those are show notes. We should probably get on to what the people want, which is comics and toys. So, why don't you hand me those guys?
All right. Look at these.
The little guys. So first things first, if you've ever seen the Mini-Mates line, you can push up a little bit. If you've ever seen the Mini-Mates line, these little guys, they're sort of like Legos, but they're not Legos. It's how they circumvent the license and whatever. They're now doing bigger ones called the Vini-Mates, and Vini-Mates are just bigger Mini-Mates. So this is from the Justice League line, because we're going to start seeing more Justice League merchandise. We got in the Flash, Batman, and Wonder Woman of these guys. They're cool little guys. They're about $9.99. Perfect for sitting on desks and stuff. Really good stocking stuffers because we got to start thinking about Christmas stuff. And Dan's going to start putting together the holiday special thing that I'm going to do here, where Santa Claus may make an appearance. Do you believe in Santa Claus? You should. I don't do that sitting on my lap bullshit. Sorry.
Well, then I'm out.
Okay. Yeah, that would get weird.
I have a couple of these, and they're really cool, and they're really...
You have a Harley one, right?
I have a Harley one, I have a Green Lantern, I have a Batman, and for $10, these are really, high quality. Yeah. These are really sturdy figures for $10.
Oh,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some people don't like them just because of, the Lego, the Lego minifig kind of guy looking, but some people, dude, that's, big market. The minifig market is crazy. I didn't realize that. Somebody schooled me on that stuff. I was like, dude, that's crazy. So, yeah.
These are neat.
Yeah, I like those. If you can't reach, you can just hang on me. Either way. That happens
Too
so
far
often.
away.
It happens so often.
These chairs are not ergonomic.
No, not at all. Why don't you hand me the Flash? This thing is dope.
There's another berry.
This thing is super cool. So Art Fx, Kotobukiya. They are an import company. They do little statues, and the statues are really nice. Recently we had the Arrow statue, obviously, and now they've come out with the Flash one. Based on the TV show, it does come with 2 heads, which is really cool. So you've got the masked version of Barry, and you have the unmasked version. And the unmasked version looks very, very, very much like Grant Gustin, which they did an excellent job with this thing. They run you about $70, so unfortunately, because it is the TV version, obviously they charge more because of the whole TV license and da-da-da, and getting the actors' likeness and all that jazz. So unfortunately, it does run you a little bit more, but look what's coming. The reverse Flash is going to be awesome.
Look at that guy.
Yeah, that one's going to be really cool, and I'm looking forward to showing that one on the air, and I might even get one of those myself, so then we can take it out of the box and really check it out. But if they do a Zoom one, forget about it. I am definitely buying a Zoom, for sure. But if they do a Jay Garrick...
Yeah, I know. Seriously.
Love me some Jay Garrick. Really cool figure, and they're made out of more of like a high polymer plastic, so you don't have to worry about the whole resin thing of, you know, your cat's knocking them over and whatnot. I have some of the Art Fx figures, and I love them. I really do. I think they're great. Staying with the Art Fx line, we have the first in our Rebirth line. So for a while, Koto's been doing the DC ones, and they've been really popular, and they've done a really nice job. Magnetic bases, not a whole lot of pieces. This is the first one in the Rebirth line, though. So it's based on the Rebirth, and it is Superman. Obviously, they got to start with the heavy hitters, so we're probably going to see Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman pretty quick, because they don't know how to use any other characters. But it's a nice-looking Superman. I'm not the biggest fan of the facial paint job, because it looks like he's got a little bit of a spray tan accident thing going on. You see what I mean, though?
No.
Towards the top of his hairline, it's a little too white. So
it's a little presidential. It's
a bit,
a little
you
orange,
know. But as far as like the power, like traditional truth, justice, American way pose, they got that thing down, man. And I love that they're doing.
Too.
Oh yeah, dude.
There's heft to this.
The bases are always really heavy for these. But it's a cool little base, man, and it even says Superman in the base as well. But I like the billowing cape. I do like the billowing cape. That's always a must for me with anybody with a cape. The cape must be billowing.
I keep stuff in the box. I'm not a box opener, and I like that it's got a nice display. So if I want to sit this on a shelf,
take your stuff out of the box, people. Somebody worked on these for them to be displayed properly. Take them out of the box.
Don't unwrap your Christmas presents. That ruins the value. Leave them in the wrapping paper. Don't take them out of the stocking.
Don't listen to him. He's a crazy man. He works at a public school.
That's right.
So keeping with like the figure lines, we got a lot of little figures today is basically how it's going to work. The Kotobukiya Bishoujo line, we really like these a lot. They're more like anime-based drawings and sculpts of some of your favorite Marvel characters. If you look at these as far as secondary value, the ones that came out 4 or 5 years ago are worth hundreds of dollars. These things get real popular in the aftermarket real quick. This one's based on Kamala Khan. I was concerned when they announced they were going to do this. The reason being is because whenever they do these, they tend to over-sexualize these things. And it can get real hairy. Like, they did a Starfire, and it's just basically boobies.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You know, the ones they do for anime are really over-sexualized. So I was worried with Kamala because obviously, I mean, come on, let's keep it clean, folks, you know. Great pose. And they did a nice job. And they kept it very PG. Very happy with it. Super stoked about it. Because me personally, I was like, I would like a Kamala Khan one, but I don't want a 14-year-old girl in a sexy pose sitting on my dresser. I don't know how to explain that to my dog. She's going to be like, what the fuck is this, dude? I'll be like, I don't know. We should just, she's going to be like, you've changed, man. And then she's going to storm out, which just is not going to be cool.
Even Frank Miller wouldn't do that.
What do you think of this guy? Are you a Kamala fan at all? I know you don't really read a lot of Marvel.
I don't read a lot of Marvel. I'm a big fan of more female-led books and characters.
Oh, absolutely.
And I really hope that, you know, with the talk of a Ms. Marvel movie, Captain Marvel, this character kind of comes onto the screen because that's what kids need. I mean, I got so many female students who are like, I love superheroes, but there aren't heroes for me. Like, I want someone I connect with. I want to see a female character. And this, you know, this is a great, positive female character, and you can hear she's... come back, Brian. Come back, Brian.
Well, here's the thing, though. She's never really been a Bendis written by Bendis character.
Right.
She's written by G. Willow Wilson, who is actually she's also a Muslim. So it's really nice that it's a Muslim book written by a female for the Muslim audience, and on top of it's really cool because it's taught me stuff about the Muslim faith that I didn't know. You know what I mean? All you hear is the over essentialized bullshit. You know, where that's more the fanatic view of it. Where you get to learn about the Muslim faith, but it's not overly preachy. You know, it's not like, oh, we're gonna shove this down your throats. It's a great book. It's a book I suggest to a lot of young female readers, and actually I've suggested some young men as well. And usually it always gets people coming back for more. It's one of those that's a great book, and like I said, I was concerned with the Bishoujo figure that they would over-sexualize it and just blow all that out of the water because it's not cool, and it's especially not cool when you do it with such a Muslim faith-based character. You would really not be hitting your audience there.
No. And
it could get very, very bad for you in a hurry. So I love it. It's a great little figure, and I have no problem showing that off to a 13-year-old girl and being like, hey, they made a cool statue for you. They do set you back right around $75 though, because the Marvel stuff for some reason is always more expensive, and it is an import, but it is well worth the money. The last of our Kotobukiyas, they've been doing one hell of a job with these artifacts.
Speaking of a gift for young children.
Right. Perfect for if you want to scare the ever-living crap out of somebody. They decided to do a Spider-Man line where the artifacts guys are just doing the Spider-Man lines. They've done the Spider-Man, they've done Miles, they've done Spider-Gwen. I have the Spider-Gwen. It's absolutely fantastic. We're finally getting the Venom. The difference with these opposed to the other ones come pre-together and they're in a window and all that, and you can see them. To get around certain licensing restrictions, they have to pack them like this and call them model kits. They're all pre-painted. You do have to put them together yourself, but it's not like your traditional, hey, we got to snap this thing out of this and do this, and it looks like really clunky. All it is instead of the manufacturer putting them together and then putting it into a package, you are just putting it together. It's super simple. All the pieces are already there. They go together really nicely, and then you have yourself a really dope statue. So if you're a big fan of Venom, this is definitely for you. It's a great piece because all the other Spider ones they've been doing have been absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen the rest of them, we do have a lot more here. We have the Miles still. I don't think we have any Spider-Gwens left, and I don't think we have any regular Spider-Mans left. But they're really, really fun. So check those out for sure. And there's been others in the past too for other characters. Like we still have a Captain America here. We still have some Iron Mans here. They're really, really fun. So what do you think? Comics? Oh, one more thing. This is Dan's little pick of the week thing. So we got ourselves another Heath Ledger Joker. I know a lot of people out there are like, oh god, another one. This is from SH Figuarts though. The Mafex ones did not get good reviews because they were really poorly made. This is absolutely fantastic. The face is a little off, but you get 3 different heads. So I mean, if you don't like one, you change it out. He comes with a playing card, lots of different hands. He can hold the playing card. He comes with a rocket launcher and then also like the switchblade knife thing that he has. It's really cool. I posted a picture that I took earlier today. Oh, excuse me here. This has never happened before. Sorry about that.
I didn't know this was a call-in show.
Yeah, that never happened. I was like, hello, you're on the air. I should have done that. Oh, God, that'd have been great. Damn it, man. Hindsight's 2020.
Would you like to buy Windows?
Yeah. So, the cool thing about this guy, don't be like Dan and lose the knife right away. I have done that, and it really sucks. But all the different hands and everything fit really well. I was playing with it last night, and I posted a picture on our Instagram, so if you guys want to see that. The coolest thing about this, though, somebody came in today, and they were like, well, did you check out the feet? I'm like, what do you mean the feet? I'm like, I saw the boots were kind of a little weird. They're like, no, man. There's little things you can turn out, and he's got knife shoes. So he's got little knife boots, which is super dope, man. So it's really cool. Fun little figure, especially if you're a big fan of like the Heath Ledger and the Dark Knight. So really, really sweet. They'll set you back right around $55, so it's really not too bad as far as like an import figure arts because they are pretty expensive. So Dan's little pick of the week because Dan got himself something. He got himself a little something.
Dan's got knife shoes.
Knife shoes for kids. Comics, huh?
Yeah.
Talk about some comics.
Do you guys sell those?
Yeah. Apparently, most people think that we sell like sports cards and stuff because it says collectibles in the door, so we should just buy junk.
The Hooper ball.
Yeah, it happens all the time. All the time. Well, it's Tony Dorsett. I don't know who that is, dude.
It's
he's a legend.
He's on Food Network, isn't he?
No.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, is he like that Michael Mina guy? Is it Tony Dorsett's burger restaurant? Is that who that is?
I don't know. I'm just putting words together.
Cool. I like words that make sounds. Sound words. Anyway, though, yeah, we're starting to cut out on some internet again. Oh well, but it is recorded. It'll go up to YouTube, so we keep cutting out. I apologize. Nothing I can do about it.
You're gonna want to watch this again and again, so YouTube.
Over and over and over again, especially for those of you who want to watch it on YouTube and share it to Mr. Mike Mack's colleagues. We wouldn't hate it.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. Hello, school. We're going to start off with some Moon Knight, mainly because it's fresh in your brain, son.
It
we
is.
just had you read it.
He did.
Moon Knight has gone back to the legacy numbering, number 188. This is part 1 in the Crazy Runs in the Family storyline. It is written by Max Bemis. The artist is Jason Burris, colorist Matt Lopez, and Corey Pettit from VCs for lettering. The cool thing about this book, for one, I mean, a lot of people really enjoyed the Jeff Lemire run. So with that, people were apprehensive about this book because Jeff Lemire is such a, people love this guy. It can be tough when they change full creative teams like this. The funny thing is, Mark Spector doesn't appear in this book, which throws you for a loop. But other than that, though, it's another one of those kind of psychological, kind of messes with your brain quite a bit books. And I really enjoyed it as far as a kickoff book.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I did like that Dan's like, here, read Moon Knight. You never read Moon Knight. Check it out. I'm like, Moon Knight's not even in this book. But no, I thought it was interesting. All the Marvel books we have to look at this week have like a strong focus on female characters. Are we dying?
Yeah, the freaking OBS just completely disconnected from the internet. It's the first time that's ever happened. We will be right back. OBS is just going to crash here in a second anyway.
The people are missing my words.
Yeah, that's never happened before. Once more into the breach. This is going to be one whack-ass thing going on YouTube, man. I'll tell you that right now. Hey, look at that. Hey, we're back. Sorry about that. I've never had the OBS crash on me before, so that's the first time for everything. So our apologies on that stuff. So far, you have brought nothing but shame to the House of McLeod.
Thanks, Obama. Thanks. Once again, you let us down.
So, yes, hello to you, sir. We actually already started the show quite a bit ago, but we've been having some technical difficulties, so I just kind of rebooted everything, and I think we're going to be okay.
We're going to be okay
fingers
now,
crossed.
kids. We're going to be okay.
If it does crash again, though, I'm going to tell you guys that we're just going to finish the show, and then I'll post it to YouTube later without streaming, because, he's a teacher. He's got to be home in bed.
I get up at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, so he's already doing me a hell of a favor by being here. So anyway, we're going to pick this up again. So we were talking about the Moon Knight book. This is issue number 188 in the Legacy run, written by Max Bemis, art by Jason Burrows. What did you think?
The art, we were talking about how the artist has worked with Warren Ellis before, and
yeah, which we both just made that connection just randomly.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you've read any of Warren Ellis's stuff, there's going to be some scenes in there that look real familiar. But it's a really interesting book, and like I was saying, it's nice to see Marvel making a real effort to get a lot of strong female characters in here, because even though Moon Knight isn't the main focus, you've got a female doctor psychiatrist who really is kind of our entryway character, and so it's nice to see. I hope to see more of that.
Yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes after this. I mean, it's the storyline is called Crazy Runs in the Family, so we're definitely looking at possibly the birth of a new or maybe a previously old Moon Knight villain. We haven't seen everything just yet, so pretty cool though. So far so good for the first one as far as like the legacy numbering with Moon Knight. Next one of my favorite books that's been going on for quite a while is the Daredevil book, written by Charles Soule. So the great thing is Charles Soule is a practicing attorney, so whenever you see some of the courtroom things, it's very much coming from a lawyer, which is super cool to see, like the behind the curtain there. The artist on this particular arc is going to be Stefano Landini, the color by Matt Milla. This is start of the Mayor Fisk storyline. And it is just that. Somehow Wilson Fisk has become mayor of New York. Matt's been gone for a while. He has now come back, and he's just kind of like, what happened? Which is, very similar to kind of what happened with the presidential election for some people. So far, so good. And this leads to all sorts of stuff, because in past Daredevil issues, Matt's made it commonplace that vigilantes can now come to the courtroom and testify. He won an argument with the Supreme Court saying that they can do that. Well, Wilson Fisk is like, I'm not having that. The reason being, well, I'll just become mayor. And he, rode a wave of, I'm just like you, I come from the streets kind of thing. Really, really, really strong first Legacy issue, man.
Very good entry book to Daredevil, especially if the only Daredevil you know is from the Netflix show. You're going to recognize what you see here. Like, the Wilson Fisk in this is not like 90s Spider-Man Wilson Fisk where, big evil criminal. He sounds, I'm going to make New York great again. I've got a plan to save it, And this was the one Marvel book of all of them that I was just like, I'm going to start reading this because it's really good. I want to see where the storyline goes. So if you're not a Daredevil fan, this is still worth a pickup. It's really a great read.
See, what I do is I get people in here under the guise of reading comics just for the show, but it's just my way of getting them to read more books.
No, it's a good one. I liked it. I really liked it.
So far, so good. Next one, issue number 159 in the She-Hulk book. Written by Mariko Tamaki, artist by Janoi Lindsay, and colorists were Federico Blee and Chris Sotomayor. If you enjoyed the Hulk book, which was very short-lived before they changed it back to She-Hulk again, you know that Jennifer Walters is no longer turning green. She's been turning gray. She's been having anger problems and keeping control of her anger. This is all one of those things of what happens if a hero ends up meeting a stalker.
Yeah.
And it kind of goes from there. She has an Ultra fan that is a gigantic fan of her and wants to be more of a friend to her, even whether or not she likes it or not. It kind of mentions a little bit of the dangers of the internet and the dangers of meeting new people. Don't meet new people, folks. Just stay inside all the time. Surround yourself with cool stuff. We'll tell you about the cool stuff. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch me on Twitch and play video games. You never have to leave your house again. I will be your friend. I am Dan from the internet. Take my hand. Take my hand. Take my hand. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Now wash yours.
Anyway. Did I have you read this?
Yes. Yeah? I did read that.
You're not really a Marvel person, so
no,
I'm interested to see your take on this.
It's funny because I haven't read She-Hulk since maybe the 90s, back when she was kind of like Deadpool breaking the fourth wall, and it was a wisecracking funny book. This is not a wisecracking funny book. This is a book that there were legitimate uncomfortable moments as I read it. So if you want to feel creepy and awkward, this is my recommendation for you. Yeah, it started off really light, and then it took a dark turn, and I'm like, ooh.
So, you're telling a bunch of comic book nerds, if you want to feel creepy and awkward, they're like, buddy, I'm already there.
Yeah. It's like a con in one comic book,
They're like, dude, I've been there for a while.
It's everything you want in one con.
Actually, I think I'm going to skip this one. Did we do that?
Yes.
Okay. Have you been reading the Star Wars stuff?
I'm familiar with the Star Wars.
I know, like, you're not much of a Marvel guy, so that's why I'm kind of doing this first.
There's an Obi-Wan, I think, somewhere.
There's a guy in there. Is She-Hulk turning gray due to her injuries in Civil War II? Yes, she is. She suffered injuries at the beginning of Civil War II, before it was even a Civil War. She fought Thanos, and Thanos damn near crippled her. Same thing that happened to... he also killed War Machine in that as well. So she was in a coma all this time. She comes out of a coma. For one, has PTSD because of being, damn near beat to death by Thanos. And then also finding out her cousin Bruce Banner is dead. So the first story arc was all about kind of learning about that while still trying to get back into being a lawyer. And now with this book, she's now dealing with the PTSD and more of the Hulkish thing. But now it's going to throw her for a loop because of the crazy. So, Star Wars. For the first 37 issues, it was written by Jason Aaron, and a lot of people loved it, myself included. Great stuff. Salvador Larroca is back on doing pencils, but now we've got Kieran Gillen doing this. So this is the start of a story arc called The Ashes of Jeddah. Now, what do we know about Jeddah? Jeddah was the main planet that they were on for a good portion of Rogue One. Jeddah was destroyed because it was one of the first tests of the Death Star. This is all about the Empire going back to Jeddah to try to get the Kyber crystals that they need to power the freaking Death Star. And it's going to kind of go from there. Really cool debut issue. Kieran Gillen was already on a roll. He did a lot of the Darth Vader stuff from the previous run of Darth Vader. He's got a great feel for Star Wars characters, and I love this one at first. And it introduced a couple of new Empire villains who, man, I mean, writers have got to be having a blast writing some Empire villains.
Some robot arm action.
Big robot arm general guy who is putting up. He's like, oh, you like to do failure, bro? I don't do with failure, bro. And it kind of goes from there. He squeezes some heads and whatnot.
And it's a good one to, again, I haven't read any of the Star Wars stuff, but if you saw Rogue One and you saw the original trilogy, that's really, that's all you need to know. You can jump right into this.
It's very much like if they did a sequel to Rogue One, but used Luke and Leia, you know, and Han and stuff. So it's really cool that you can watch that movie and then pick up this book and feel like you're getting a sequel to Rogue One in a way, but without getting a sequel to Rogue One, because obviously, spoiler alert, they all freaking died.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. They're probably going to retcon that crap, being like, no, she jumped on a ship at the last minute and flew away back to her home planet.
2 words, Force Ghost.
Force
Done.
Ghost.
Force
there
Ghost.
You go, man.
They're all going to be there, blue and dancing with Ewoks.
2 words for you, Force Rave. Force Rave.
As long as it's Ewok Dance Party.
As long as it's not a forced rave.
No.
And as long as it's not the other R word.
Stream is over.
Shut it off! Shut it down! Can you believe it just restarting OBS now everything's working fine?
Yeah.
God dang, man.
That's how technology
that's
works.
That's making me a little nervous now every time I stream. It's like I gotta stream first and then wait for it to fail and then I'll stream again.
Our entire infrastructure is based on the idea of just turn it off and on again.
So we only had a couple of indie you can try and turn it off and on again. Just like the IT crowd.
Yep.
I hope that's where you're going with that.
No.
Okay. You should watch that show.
I don't have TV. I just watch.
It's on Netflix. It was a British show.
I just watch webcasts. I don't.
Oh, you just watch me?
I just watch Dan exclusively.
Love this.
Brand loyal.
Talk about meeting stalkers and how uncomfortable you feel afterwards.
Can't wait to follow you home tonight. It's gonna be great.
He's like, yeah, we got like a third part of the bed. It's me, my wife, and then it's the Dan spot for just whenever. We're just saying. One day you might be tired. You might need a place to rest. You know, just
saying. Wake you up at 2 a.m. Do a podcast.
Your wife's gonna be like, never ever talk to this guy again.
No.
Never. You're not allowed to hang out with him anymore.
And my wife is watching. Hi, sweetie.
We'll be home soon. Anyway, we should probably move on.
Probably.
We're gonna do. There's only a couple of new #1 indie books this week, but both of them were pretty cool. This one is very, very sci-fi-ish. Essentially, it talks about the first contact. What if aliens came to the planet and instead of being like, yo, man, we're here to hang out and learn about your culture and stuff, they're like, no, you backwater monkeys don't have anything that we need except for water. So they show up and they basically say, hey, we just want to use you guys as an outpost for other aliens to come here and power up their ships, and then they move on to other things. We don't want anything to do with your stupid culture because football's dumb. Mm-hmm. So it's all about that, and in the trade of them putting an outpost here, they teach us how to solve the world's energy crisis by giving us technology that runs on water. So it's an even trade there. So after it goes on for a while, obviously, hilarity ensues. We find out that the people who showed up are more a corporation. They're like the Walmart of setting up outposts, and they need to set up a certain group that helps police all this so that there's no big problems with aliens wandering off or being on the planet that we don't know about. But of course, like any good book,
spoiler,
hilarity ensues. So as far as the first opening issue, I actually really enjoyed it, especially for a straight up sci-fi book that we really needed. I'm hoping it stays more sci-fi and not runs goes into like the horror things. A lot of sci-fi books we've been getting lately, they were like, oh, and by the way, zombies.
Yeah.
No more freaking zombies, man. The writer is Zach Kaplan. I don't know if it's Andrea. Andrea Muti. Vladimir Popov is the colorist. And Troy Piteri is the letterer. It's done by Image Comics. What did you think, sir?
Well, we both had the same thought when we looked at it, and I said, this reminds me of District 9. If you like District 9, that kind of, sci-fi in the everyday, this outer space.
It's very much a, hey, this exists.
Yeah.
So we're not going to explain every little niche to you. It exists. This is the history of it. You know?
Yeah,
so.
I love the moment at the beginning. They're like, the first ship is landing to dock. Okay, it took off, and like there's nothing. It just lands, gasses up, and takes off.
Yeah, that was a big thing in the book. Was that it's like you were just an outpost. They're not here to hang out. Once again, we told you, man. You're a backwater community. We don't want anything to do with you.
Right.
So it's very much like he said. It's reporters being like, "And first contact is made, and they're gone."
Yeah. Which is, oddly enough, I think the most accurate view of first contact.
I know. I was like, dude, that's totally what's going to happen here. They're going to be like, wait, you guys still can't get off this planet like whenever you want? You don't know how to do that? Oh, boy. Yeah. You guys are still watching something called Netflix?
Right.
What is going on here?
Just skip that planet.
There's no hope for humanity. Support of Earth #1, something new from Image, and it's a fun one for as far as like the sci-fi crowd goes. And I'm interested to see where it goes. Like it starts off a little slower, but it's got a lot of potential. And it's got a lot of potential for like a world building thing too, So we can see not only the port here, but in the future if they decide to do other ones like Port of Mars or, Port of Dan or whatever they want to do. Port of Mike, the McLeod port. It's on a rotating asteroid.
Nothing of value to aliens. I bring nothing to the table.
Oh, dude. You can teach them
English.
I
am 80% water, so I guess.
You can teach them English. They can just run their ships on you.
They can run their ship on me for a while.
Oh, we like this one. Let's where's your holes at? We can just
Oh.
plug this in. Oh, God, no.
This is a family show.
Is it, though? Better not bring your kids.
Speaking of don't bring your kids.
Speaking of family, speaking of some family here. Story by Sean Lewis, art by Caitlin Yarsky. It is Coyotes #1 on Image Comics. Very much deals with the idea of in Mexico. Was it Mexico?
Yes.
I believe it's Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
In Mexico, this is a very real thing, by the way. Women have it rough in some of these poor communities where they just straight up disappear and are sold into human trafficking. And it has a lot to do with that. We started off with a couple of girls who are very much sheltered by their mother, who don't want them going out because she's afraid they might get killed or sold into slavery, stuff like that. And it goes from there. But it also has some horror elements to it where you think you're looking through the eyes of what this girl is perceiving.
Mm-hmm.
Until you realize that everything that she is perceiving that seems a little off might actually be real. So she ends up meeting up with some other people who eventually kind of train her how to defend herself, and we go from there. It's a little out there, but I see it having a ton of potential in the realm of like Deadly Class and things. Super interesting, especially like, I'm not going to spoil the last page, but the last page is a real big eye-opener.
Yeah, and we were talking... it's kind of a deeper cut, but if you've ever read Fell by Warren Ellis,
A little out there.
that's a great series, as long as you don't want like a series that concludes.
Right.
But that's what I was thinking about the whole time that I read this. And what's cool too is this had a little backup story at the end, and you oftentimes see a little backup story and it's not a big deal. The backup story like changed my whole perspective on
backup story is a big deal.
One of the characters. So this was a really cool read, and again, female-led, strong female characters. Really I wouldn't recommend this for like a young kid, but like a teenager.
Yeah,
an older teen. Yeah,
I would say 16 and above could probably read this book comfortably. But that's just this issue. It might get a little more brutal going on. So for now, we can definitely say 16 and up. Honestly, it's nothing that I wouldn't have read when I was that age. My mom would have been perfectly fine with it. It's super interesting, and once again, it's another one of those like world building things that has a ton of potential.
Yeah.
So we'll have to keep an eye on this one going into the future. Hopefully, some people start checking it out. A lot of the Image #1s now, people haven't been picking up new titles. So I don't know if that's because there's just a glut of stuff going on or what, but I spit mad rhymes.
I hate everything new, and I like this. So.
I want everything to stay the same.
Yeah, I don't like change.
No, nothing should ever change.
Put Superman's underwear back on the outside where it belongs. That's what I say.
Underoos!
That's right. Speaking of DC, now we're in my wheelhouse.
Speaking of DC, now we're right there, man. We're putting that fastball right down the middle there.
The stream's going long, yes.
I had you read this. I didn't have you read that.
Nope,
We'll still talk about it briefly. So we're going to start with a new, obviously here I'm always talking about places to jump on. This is the place to jump on for the Flash. What are your opinions about Bendis going to DC? Actually, we were going to start with that, but with everything else, we're going to talk about the Bendis thing as we wrap up. It'll be a nice little cherry on top of this Sunday we call Warp 9 Wednesday.
Cherry on the bottom.
Whipped cream. Take the stem out, baby. Take the stem out.
Family show.
I was talking about cherries.
Oh.
This is Flash number 34. It's called Black Hole Rising. Of course it is.
God,
I just walked right into that one. I'm talking about taking stems out, and it's like, Black Hole Rising. Yep. I'm like, of course it is. Black Hole Rising Part 1, written by Joshua Williamson and Michael Morisi. Pop Man is doing the art. Ivan Placencia is doing the color. Lots of Ivans this week. This is continuing off on the previous issue where we saw the return of a character that we thought was previously deceased. And the Flash is still dealing with the after effects of having been paired with the negative force from his battle with the Reverse Flash. I know it sounds confusing, but it's really not so bad. It's a good jumping on point for anybody, and it's a nice one where you can read it and be like, I like this, I can continue with it, and then go back to the other stuff in the future if you prefer. The Flash continues to be one of the better books that that DC does on the level. Every single issue. I haven't had really a weak one yet, in my opinion, but I'm a pretty easy guy to please when it comes to comics. I love comics, so. What'd you think, brother?
Well, I've been reading Flash for quite some time, and I do. It's interesting because they're really playing with Flash and relationships right now.
Oh, yeah.
And especially coming out of the last run where, if you know your Flash, Barry Allen, Iris West, Match Made in Heaven, and the last run, man, Reverse Flash, rip them apart.
Yep.
And this is now another. Mina is, she's a character that if you've been following the series, you know a little bit about. Mina is back and kind of, Barry's like, oh, maybe I got, and then you're like, God damn it, Barry.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he'll run back in time and fix everything, so that's what he does.
He's going to run back in time and fix the show.
It always works. Maybe that's why we're having streaming trouble. Barry's screwing up the timeline.
Seems like we're good now. Just for that little while. I should have just stopped the thing and started over from the beginning.
Should have had Wally West.
It's on me, yo. It's on me. So, good jumping on point, you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a good jumping on point, and I think that it would... if you're interested in the characters and you go back to read the older issues, you're going to like what you read. Yeah. Like, you're going to like what you see.
It's one of the better sellers we've had in trade paperback as well because people are enjoying it, especially like the younger crowd. Like, we got a lot of kids probably from like the 12 to 14 age that are really starting to get into Flash, and I credit that with the TV show and how well that they've marketed that and people really enjoy it. And they come, they read the comics. It's a little different, and I try to temper the expectations. It's not the same, but so far so good.
Yeah,
still loving it. Williamson's been killing it. Did you do that one?
I haven't. No.
Oh, okay.
Earmuffs.
This is one I read at I read on lunch. I forgot to read it last night. It's Plain Sight Part 1. It's continuing the Supergirl series. It's Supergirl number 15. I've actually really been liking this series quite a bit. But we're kind of headed down a path. I don't know why I don't know who did this. Jody Hauser's the writer, and Steve Orlando, penciler Robson Rocha, inker Daniel Hendricks, and colorist Michael Atea. So we've got a full house on this book.
Yeah.
Jody Hauser is really, really great. She's kind of an up and comer. She's been writing quite a bit of stuff on her own, and superhero stuff's been really good too. So in this Supergirl, what's been going on in the Supergirl book is the DEO has decided that she shouldn't really be doing a lot of heroing and whatnot. So they're putting the kibosh on that stuff. So it's becoming a problem for her at home because this is not like Kara Danvers on the show. She's still a young woman. She's still going to school, and she's also interning at Catco and all of that jazz. So it's a little bit different for her to try to go out heroing, and she's still living at home with parents and stuff. It's very Spider-Man-esque of when Peter Parker was younger. And I enjoy that a lot, especially the way that she interacts with her classmates and just trying to be typical Kara Danvers, man. She just wants to do what's best for everybody. This is coming out of the fact that her dad had come to Earth and turned out to be possibly one of the cyborg Supermen. Also interesting. That was really cool.
It happens.
It does happen. Have you been reading this book at all?
Yeah, I have been following that book. I jumped in at Rebirth. I haven't read anything from the New 52, but yeah.
Well, actually, a lot of that stuff when she became a Red Lantern was super dope.
I have read the Red Lantern books with her in it, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
so
man, they had themselves a heavy hitter at that time, man.
Well, yeah, I mean,
first they had her, and then they had the cat, Daxstar. That's all you need.
Like one of my favorite characters.
Who doesn't love Daxstar? Come on, man.
And best Green Lantern, Guy Gardner.
Oh,
Guy Gardner.
Most interesting Green Lantern for sure.
Seriously. It's what I would be if I was a Green Lantern, would be Guy Gardner. And not like current Guy Gardner. I'm talking 90s Gardner.
Oh, you know?
Yeah.
Bowl cut?
With bowl cut, cowboy boots, big chain belt. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's how you do it.
Justice League Europe, baby.
So Supergirl, if you're a fan of the show, or you're just wanting to start off on Supergirl, perfect time for you to jump on. You can get the trades for other stuff later. So we finally got, and we're going to touch on this briefly, just because
Dan's already spoiled.
I already spoiled it for him on accident because I'm an idiot and forgot to give it to him. Oz Effect Part 5. This is the final in the Oz Effect. If you've been reading any of the Action Comics, this is Action Comics 991. This is Part 5 of the Oz Effect. Jor-El is back, allegedly. Superman doesn't really feel like this is his father, and then we kind of go from there. I can't tell you much more about this book without spoiling the ending, and the ending is actually pretty important. So, I was very happy with actually this whole storyline. I think it worked out pretty well. A couple of things were a little weak and felt a little rushed, but overall, this opens up a door to what I think is going to carry over into Doomsday Clock. And I think it's going to make people ultimately pretty happy with what the plan is. The lenticular covers they did for every issue of this have been absolutely stunning. Gorgeous, and fantastic. Yeah. This is how you do lenticulars, Marvel. Sorry, guys, but your lenticulars were not even close to being this good. Not even in the same aspect. So, what have you thought about the Oz Effect before this?
It's funny because when the first issue came out, I think I was right there with Superman. I'm like, this can't be Jor-El. But they haven't done any like mustache twirling where it's like as soon as Clark turns his back, he's like, ha ha ha, I'm really someone else who's tricking. It's
Snidely Whiplash.
He's been very consistent as a character, and I haven't read this issue, but from what I've seen so far, I could believe that this was Jor-El.
Right.
I might not like that it's Jor-El, but I could believe that it's Jor-El.
With a lot of other stuff going on where there's somebody obviously manipulating things behind the scenes, it's opened the door to actually bring back a lot of these characters that have either been long dead or long out of the mythos because of a certain character that they may introduce in the Doomsday Clock. So it's been interesting. I just hope they don't swing that door too far open, and then it can be very confusing and become a cluster F, and also become a thing where it's like, well, this guy's back because of this, and everybody can use it, It would lose its meaning, and I hope that they're not going to go too crazy with it. But overall, satisfying. If you haven't read any of the Oz Effect, I do have them in full sets over at our little Rebirth set thing, and you can definitely pick it up. All of our sets are actually marked down 25%. I don't know if you guys knew that, but you know that now. So check out the Oz Effect because it's actually pretty cool. And there's one big thing that's kind of a callback to the Mixoplex little story arc that they did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was like, this is cool, So it was pretty awesome, and it really breaks down like why Mr. Mixie was so upset, and it's really, really cool. And I don't want to say any more than that. Other than that, I love Mixoplex. He's like one of my favorite guys. Last but not least, just Lost. We have Batman Lost. It's another one of the Dark Knight's metal tie-ins. But this is very much dealing with what is going on with Batman in the Dark Multiverse. This is our Batman. This is Earth Zero Batman. It's quite the little mind f.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, man. First off, I mean, listen to this. You got a who's who of writers on this thing. Scott Snyder, James Tynion IV, and Joshua Williamson, who we had mentioned is doing the Flash book. The pencilers, Doug Mahnke, Yannick Paquette, and George Jimenez doing the pencils. Jamie Mendoza, Paquette, and Jimenez doing the inks. Olivier Coipel and Dave Stewart did the cover, which is a dope cover, by the way. And then I think Greg Capullo also helped doing some of this stuff. Let's see here. Will Quintana, Nathan Fairbairn, and Alejandro Sanchez did the colors. This is an absolute excellent Batman story as far as a single standalone story. And it also, we finally get to see what terrifies the Bat. What terrifies Bruce Wayne. And we very much get to see what terrifies Bruce Wayne. And I think it would terrify just about anybody. It's cerebral, but not to the point of like Grant Morrison-ish, where it's like, I don't understand what's going on. Oh. But man, was it good. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah, I've been kind of high and low on the metal stuff. I haven't loved all of them, but I've been following it, and this book is one of those books that when I put it down, my thought was just, what do they do with Batman after this? Like, they are deconstructing this character. You know, after War and Jokes and Riddles, I thought that was the big deconstruction, but this is a must-read book if you're interested in Batman. If you have any interest in what they're going to do with him, this, I think, is going to become a touchstone for where they go with this character moving forward. So,
and that's why we did it last.
Yeah, I mean, this is a book that you kind of read it and you just got to think about it for a couple of days.
It's definitely one of those that I would suggest reading more than once.
Yeah.
Kind of break it down, read the first one, get your impression on it, and then check it out again and just kind of break it down. There's lots of little hints, and then the big thing is that Batman is lost. You know, how are we gonna find a bat? You know, quality stuff, and it's definitely probably my favorite book of everything I read last night, and I do suggest everybody pick it up. Even if you haven't been reading the rest of the metal stuff, you don't really need to know anything other than the fact that Batman's trapped in the dark multiverse. This is what's going on. It's all you need to know. It's great stuff. Your pick of the week, maybe, possibly. Got to read everything else though, right?
Yeah, I got to read everything else. I haven't, we didn't talk about it, but of course, Mr. Miracle #4 is out.
Yeah.
And if you're not reading Mr. Miracle, I mean, don't stop collecting comics. Yeah, seriously, go pick up like RC car racing or something. Because
yeah, Mr. Miracle is something else, man. It is absolutely amazing. Gotta love it. So the big comic news, and this is gonna kind of wrap this all up, is
Will Ferrell.
Oh, Will Ferrell is going to be... No.
Will Ferrell is playing Reverse
Flash in the movie.
It's all over Instagram. It's got to be true.
It's got to be true. It's on the internet. Just like Dan is true, because he's from the internet. The big news, obviously, is one of the biggest mainstays and one of the biggest champions of Marvel Comics has now left the company and will be exclusively at DC for the foreseeable future. Brian Michael Bendis. He has written everything from Spider-Man to the Avengers to the X-Men. Helped pilot the Ultimate Universe when that first started. He created Miles Morales, created Jessica Jones. He's done quite a bit at Marvel to keep them not only afloat, but also give them stuff to kind of hang their hat on in order to build this big film empire now. And for him to leave, it's very telling. I mean, we don't want to speculate too much of why. It's none of my business. But it kind of says that for a guy who's very rah-rah Marvel, and for him to completely leave the company in order to sign not only leave but sign an exclusive deal with DC, it kind of tells you that there may be some things going on at Marvel that some people are not pleased with. But I don't want to speculate too much. That's just me. I think overall Bendis leaving the company is going to be good. It's going to allow some of the younger writers over there to have to step it up, or to find potentially some other indie writers to also have to join the company and step it up. You can't rely solely on Charles Soule. See how I did that?
Yeah,
I'm good at this.
I did.
And you can't rely solely on Jason Aaron, because eventually you're going to burn those guys out. So it's a great opportunity for some other guys to step it up. And let's just put it this way, man. Between Tom King, Scott Snyder, Josh Williamson, and now Brian Michael Bendis, there's who's who of writers over at DC Comics right now, and that's not even including all the freelance guys that they have on speed dial. And I think I also heard that Jeff Lemire and Hickman are going over there too. So,
well, I'm hopeful that with Bendis's experience working on team books, personally, I think that Justice League since Rebirth could use a shot in the arm.
It's already getting one. Christopher Priest is going to start writing it.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And I hope that like Bendis can maybe work a little magic behind the scenes.
Oh,
or
I'm
give
sure.
Some...
Well, there's 2 Justice League books, and who knows? Priest might not write that book forever. But yeah, no, Justice League, the regular book's about to get a huge shot in the arm because Christopher Priest is goddamn amazing, and his Deathstroke book has been fantastic.
I've been loving Justice League of America.
Yeah, and the microverse thing was really fun.
What I liked about it is that they did what they should be doing, which is shining a spotlight on some of the smaller characters and really giving them a chance.
Literally.
Yeah. But Justice League feels kind of like a mess, so I hope that gets a shot in the arm, because that should be a flagship book for DC.
Well,
and it's been kind of well, you don't really need to.
I think the decision to give it to Brian Hitch wasn't the best decision. That's just me. I'm just not the biggest fan of his right now.
No,
but the Christopher Priest thing was them being like, okay, we need a shot in the arm, like you said. The Christopher Priest thing's amazing. So one of the things me and Trey talked about, Trey, the owner of Warp 9, I had mentioned I think Teen Titans would be a great fit for Brian Michael Bendis, and I also mentioned Green Lanterns, not the Hal Jordan book, but the Green Lanterns book.
Oh, okay.
The interaction between Jessica and Boz, I think, would be absolutely fantastic. But who knows? I mean, I hope they just don't jump into right away of here's him writing an Elseworlds Batman story, or this is a story he's kicked around his head. You know, I mean, that's going to be great and everything, but I would love to see him just take over one of these other books just because, you know, like just to see how he can play around in this universe first before. I just don't want to see something like, hey man, you guys like Civil War? This is Civil War 3. It's such a Civil War. It's taking place in the DC universe. Like, I don't want to see anything like that right away.
In Batman Lost, they mentioned the Justice War. There's a little side note. There you go. There's your in.
Yeah, there's all sorts of little stuff that's going to happen. It's pretty cool.
I'd like Bendis to maybe also, you know, if he's jumping to DC instead of one of the other books, he's got to have in his mind characters that he'd like to play with. And I don't think DC is going to put up a lot of walls for what he wants to get at.
Nope.
It would be great to see him, you know, play with the characters that are there, but it'd also be nice to see him bring some new characters to DC.
Well, he created Miles. Created
Jessica
Jessica Jones. You know, he could definitely do some stuff.
He's got some legs with stuff like that. So let's see some new coming out of Metal, coming out of what we're looking at with Doomsday Clock. Let's see some new characters show up and give them some legs so the next generation doesn't have to read 35 years of back issues to feel like they're up to speed on a character. Let's get in on the ground floor.
We were just talking about that, man. Or maybe you can fix the disaster that the Justice League book is. We were just talking about that. Christopher Priest is going to be taking over that book. So it's already going to get completely fixed. Because Christopher Priest is goddamn amazing.
Future inbred Justice League kids, what was wrong with that storyline? It had everything you wanted. It's everything you wanted. Awkward timelines, no clear resolution, strange things happening for no reason.
Weird stuff.
Yeah, Black Lightning. I mean, it's everything you want.
So anyway, parting thoughts.
Parting thoughts are buy comics at your local shop. Like, seriously. I know you might think you're getting a deal on Amazon for like a graphic novel, but you're not, because it's going to show up banged up, dinged up. Trust me,
Amazon.
I've learned the long and hard way on that one. Come into the local shop, support your local shop, because, you know, if they're not here, guys, then Amazon runs everything. And no one wants to live in that world. So
if we're not here, then the world officially is over.
Yeah, seriously.
Over.
What am I supposed to do with my free time? What am I supposed to do with my free money? Save it?
I guess.
Save it like a hobo in a can? What am I supposed to do?
Murder prostitutes or something. I don't know.
Well, that got dark real fast.
Hey,
I'm more Warren Ellis for you.
Hey, I'm just I'm just spitballing here, man. There's no there's no negativity in brainstorming. I'm just saying.
It said murder prostitutes. That's pretty negative.
Or is it? Think about it.
Tell people I'm here. Tell the
troll
police.
troll Twitch streams. There you go, Wes.
There you go. That's what I do.
Anyway, guys, sorry for the difficulties, the internet stuff earlier today. The entirety of this thing will probably go up onto YouTube. I don't know how I'm going to do it just yet because I don't really have editing software, so that's going to be fun. Magic. But anyway, that is your Warp 9 Wednesday. This is Extra Secret Gaming. He is Mike Mack. Thank you for sitting in today. That was very fun of you.
Yeah.
And especially making it a long day. We'll let you escape here.
That's what I do.
I am Dan from the internet. This has been your Warp 9 Wednesday. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it. I think it's time to go home because I'm tired and I'm hungry.
Me too.
A little hungry, a little tired. So, bye.
Bye.